Overcoming Hate Setback Series. Help people, even haters, in a way that God would have you to help them. And so this means limits. This means limits. I got this revelation from God when I was going through my homeless seasons. And my mother struggled with my middle brother. I'm the oldest, it's three siblings, and then there's a middle child. And and she's always, at the time I was the one who actually needed help. My brother, she had already helped him. He had lived at her house, her apartment, for a time, and then I had come along and I needed help because I had lost my job and everything. um and so he was jealous of the help that she was giving me, so he kept pulling at her. But that's not only, but he's always sort of pulled at her, you know, needing $25 for gas here, needing some money for his rent or something like that. And so here it is, she's trying to stretch herself thin, trying to help somebody else who's already uh, at a state where he can help himself, versus a person who is now entering a state who is struggling. You know, I graduated from college 2005. Everything kind of took a shift in 2006. I ended up having to move back to Dallas. I got a job 07, 08, and then the recession hit. And then I lost that job. And then I was homeless, living in homeless shelters, struggling with family, etc. And then everything got back on track 2013, and I was able to return to teaching. And what you hear is a lot of people who don't really want to help you, they love to make this type of statement: I only help people who are helping themselves. Okay, that's kind of a weird statement. It comes from a place of pride because they don't really want to help you. Uh, but they're saying, if you're helping yourself, I'm going to help you. Well, if they're helping themselves, why would you need to help them? They're already helping themselves. They know how to help themselves. You're trying to give them new meaning to them helping themselves when they already know how to do that. The person who actually needs help is the person who's asking you for help. A lot of times the people that you help don't even ask you for help. You just take it upon yourself to bear the burden of helping them, but they haven't opened their mouth to ask you for help for anything. They'll take it. They will definitely take it, but they'll hate you for it, because they'll hate you in a sense that they felt like they had to take it. If it felt like you pushed it upon them, they didn't want to pass up on the opportunity, so they took it, and now they hate you. But they always say that kind of statement when they don't want to actually help you. And the help is not always money. The help could be um, direction. It could be wisdom. It can be understanding. Okay, if I'm down right now, I lost my job the the during the financial recession, but the other people around me still have jobs, and that could be because they started their jobs 20, 25 years ago. Okay, they represent instruction. Maybe I should have found a job that was a type of job that had more longevity. Well, at the same time, in my defense, I was coming out of college. So then the instruction would be, I should have prepared better before I left college. I should have already secured a job before I left college. Now, I did have something prior to moving to 2006, but it was part time. So I didn't have job workforce preparation in mind while I was going to school. I was so involved in school. I was so enamored with school that I didn't adopt a 2 year transition plan. That's something that I teach right now to my students, so they have an understanding about that. Okay, then that's wisdom. That's instruction. That's understanding. Sure, I might get mad at you telling me that. I usually don't. You'll never know if I'm mad at something. I'll listen to you. I pray in my mind about it. God, what is it that you would have for me to understand about this situation? And then I may mumble a little bit, but then I will apply what you have to say. I'm not the kind of person who will physically reject you, who would show the 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 physical signs on my face, or or the verbal signs through my mouth. or I won't act like an adult toddler jumping up and leaving the house and cussing. I'm not that kind of person. If you are criticizing me, I may not like it. And a lot of times the criticism doesn't come from wanting to be helpful. They're really criticizing themselves. That's why I will still listen and see what's going on. And then I'll pick out what I think God is really trying to tell me in the situation. So my mother struggled with her middle child and always helping him and helping him with his kids and things like that. And one day I said, out of my soul, out of my spirit, and it was God who told it to me, but I received it also for myself as instruction. And he said to her through me, help God in the way that God would have you to help the person. Let me make sure I say that right. Help God in the way, help the person in the way that God would have you to help the person. There's a God way that he would have you to help that person, and then there's your way. And your way is not advancing the person. The person keeps coming back and asking for money. While you have a person at the house who actually needs money, doesn't have a job, trying to find a job, trying to get herself back on track, you are running after a person who's already helping himself. That's a strange ideology, but that's what you see today in communities. You have more dollars, money going into communities that are already rich. They're, they already have resources. You don't need to give them more money for resources, which leaves all of the other communities abandoned and neglected. Uh, boarded up buildings, no police support. Um, uh, the the city doesn't come out and mow, right? You have all these areas that actually need help, but you're going to now take all dollars consistently, and these people are already rich and got more than enough money. You're going to take more dollars and put it into communities where they're already helping themselves, whereas the communities over here need more help. Okay, that's how God put it to me for my mother. And I didn't spit it out as a way to reject it. I actually said it. Then my ears heard it, and it made all the sense in the world. It still was a word that applied to her in her situation. She rejected the word. She decided to continue helping him and his kids, even though his kids already had parents. Had their own parents. She still did, and then later she ended up going to the hospital because of a sickness that sort of like overexhaustion or something like that. She was in the hospital. I don't know if she was straight in a coma, but they put her out for a long time. And then I was the one who ended up having to help her because the person that she kept helping, he didn't come and see her. And the person who kept putting distance between us, the the younger child, he didn't fly out to help her. So the person that she kept rejecting and hating is the person who ended up helping her. And at that time, I had to obey God. and and it made sense to obey God because I was still living at her house, still working some freelance jobs, right, to bring in some money to give to her, and so it made sense that I was the one to help her. But it's very interesting though, and now did she ever learn her lesson? I don't believe so. I don't believe so. I don't believe so because she got up out of that sick bed. Oh yeah, and I was the one who had to pray for her. She was technically on her deathbed, and she had called out and asked me to pray for her, and so I went to the room, found a scripture in the Bible. I prayed, found a scripture in the Bible, and asked God how to do it, how He would have me to pray for her. And then I found the scripture, and I went to go pray for her. And then not too long after that, she recovered. So the very person that she hated, continues to hate, has framed as a problem, scapegoated, has pit me and my brothers against each other, all that good stuff, is the very person that God had me to pray to her about. And God gave her a warning before that situation happened, her medical situation happened. Help people in the way that God will have you to help them. So my mother and I and the family are all estranged. It's going to stay that way for both safety and sanity reasons. But I've already made up in my mind, and that's not a but to cancel out anything. I've already made up in my mind, when God says I need you to do this or do that or do this for them, I'm going to do it. We will never sit down and have bread together. We may we're going to reconcile, of course, but we will never return to a relationship. That's not going to happen. It's not safe for me. It has never been safe for me. God just kept me safe in that situation. But help people, even haters, in the way that God would have you to help them. Understand the limits that God has already put forth with the situation. Don't go beyond those limits. Help people in the way that God would have you to help them. Go to God first about how to help somebody. Only God truly knows what they need. It is not up to you to determine what you think they need. Only God knows truly what they need. And so a lot of times people will ask you just to ask you, just to see if you're going to do it. So they're really crying wolf and they don't really need your help. But when they truly need your help, they have cried wolf so much and you have given so much, you don't have it to give anymore. And sometimes even in that situation, you still may have to give it because God is asking you to do it. So don't burden yourself. Don't burden your heart. Don't try to seek to be accepted. Don't people please. Don't do anything that's going to stretch you thin. Set boundaries. Put some distance between you. Emotional distance. Don't let them take up all your time. Don't let them uh, fill you with a bunch of distractions just because they're bored. Don't do anything that's going to get in the way of the plans that God has for you. So therefore, you have to set the right type of limits, and God is your best limit uh, person who will tell you this is what I want you to do, and only do that. So this is Overcoming Hate Setback Series. Help people, even haters, in the way that God would have you to help them. Visit ReginaWhiteFavors.com for more tips. Thank you very much for listening.